Any impediment of UNRWA's operation directly threatens the survival of over millions of Palestinians and deliberate obstruction of humanitarian assistance as is unacceptable and constitutes a clear violation of international law.
In 2025, I'm happy to welcome the new members: Denmark, Greece, Pakistan, Panama, and Somalia, and we look forward to their participation in the work of the Council. Their experience, their wisdom will be invaluable assistance in the discharge of the Council's responsibility.
Throughout the entire Middle East region. Thank you for your attention.
I thank the representative of the Russian Federation for their statement. I now give the floor to the representative of Somalia.
Mr. President, at the outset, I would like to congratulate you on assuming the presidency of the Council for this month, and thank you for convening this important meeting today. I express appreciation for Mr. Volker Turk, UN High Commissioner for the Human Rights, and Dr. Rick Peppercorn, WHO representative in the occupied Palestinian territory, for their comprehensive briefings. I'm also immensely grateful to Dr. Tania Haj Hassan for her sobering and invaluable briefings. Mr. President, Somalia is deeply concerned about the deteriorating situation in Gaza and the ongoing suffering of the Palestinian people due to the prolonged conflict, which has now persisted for over 14 months. In that regard, I would like to make the following 4 points. First, as reported, systematic military operations targeting medical facilities and personnel are particularly alarming. According to WHO, 94% of all health facilities in Gaza are either damaged or destroyed, and only 17 out of the 36 hospitals with inpatient capacity are even partially functional. We have all witnessed the recent destruction of Kamal Adwan Hospital and the abduction of its director, Dr. Hussam Abu Safiya, which has put on one of the last major health facility in northern Gaza out of service. In that vein, we call for the immediate release of Dr. Hussam Abu Safiya, whose detention raises serious concern regarding human rights and the due process. Furthermore, the deliberate attacks against Kamal Adwan Hospital and the numerous other healthcare facilities and personnel are a form of ethnic cleansing and collective punishment against the civilian populations in Gaza. We underscore that the protection of civilians and civilian infrastructure is not negotiable. It's an absolute requirement under the international law, and it's clear in the international humanitarian law. Second, the role of United Nations Relief and Works Agency, UNRWA, as the primary humanitarian lifeline for the Palestinian cannot be overstated. I take this opportunity to pay tribute to the dedicated and the courageous personnel of all humanitarian workers, including the UNRWA, which are working tirelessly under the challenging circumstances. Any impediment of UNRWA's operation directly threatens the survival of over millions of Palestinians and deliberate obstruction of humanitarian assistance as is unacceptable and constitutes a clear violation of international law. We urge Israel to head a strong call for international community to allow UNRWA to proceed with its aid operations in the occupied Palestinian territories, as well as the lifting of the long-standing inhuman blockade that severely restricts the delivery of essential services. The civilian population, mostly women and children, face severe health issues including food insecurity and experiencing acute malnutrition, and situation that requires our immediate attention as the winter is proceeding. As the occupying power, Israel has the legal obligation under the international law to ensure the basic needs of the civilian populations are met. This includes safe return of the displaced to their homes, providing access to food, water, medical supplies, and essential services. These are binding legal obligations under the international law and merit a careful consideration and implementation. Third, the escalating Israeli military widespread and systematic attacks in Gaza for over a year is a major concern for my delegation. The toll on human life continues to mount, with implications that extend far beyond statistical measures to affect families and communities profoundly. We reiterate our strongest condemnation for those blatant violations. The argument that the security concern prevents a ceasefire is both morally and practically untenable. There can be no military solution to this conflict. An immediate and unconditional ceasefire is the first step and is indispensable for creating a condition conducive to meaningful political discourse and prerequisite for any meaningful progress towards sustainable and lasting peace between Israel and Palestine. Fourth, the current crisis underscores the urgent need to revive the political process, breaking the cycle of violence and establishing a lasting peace in the region. We reiterate our call that the only viable options for the resolution of the long-standing conflict is the end of the occupied Palestinian territory and full recognition of a free, sovereign, and independent Palestine with Jerusalem as its capital, in accordance to the relevant resolutions of the Security Council and General Assembly's international law. In conclusion, my delegation urges full compliance with international human rights and humanitarian law and join the call for an immediate, unconditional, and permanent ceasefire. Somalia reaffirms its commitment to supporting all diplomatic efforts toward achieving a just and lasting peace. I thank you.
I thank the representative of Somalia